Anne Hathaway is on a different level of winning streak. And End of Oak Street, coming from the It Follows fame director, is one of the most anticipated releases of this year. The trailer reminded me of Jurassic Park, and it seems like Mitchell has done a great job at bringing these prehistoric creatures into our modern timeline, because the early reactions for the movie are in, and they're quite glorious. The movie's about a family, with Anne and Ewan McGregor as the leading couple, and they have 2 kids who one fine day wake up to realize that the entire neighborhood has been displaced. Mitchell's film, soaked in fantasy and dinosaurs, is already winning hearts. Mitchell told SFX, "I want to write a movie that felt like that, the collision of the fantastical with the mundane. What happens when your backyard, a space that feels average and normal, becomes a dangerous place?" So without any further delay, let's check out how our August movie series is about to end.
Has moved.
Giving us Jurassic Park vibes and then actually pulling it off are 2 very different things, and essentially a very difficult task. But Mitchell managed to capture that feel, and Brandon Davis of The Brandon Davis Show went gaga over End of Oak Street, saying, "Hashtag the End of Oak Street is a vicious blast. Anne Hathaway is so all in on Dino Terror." However, Davis did give us a slight heads up about the movie being an out-and-out entertaining watch, which may have put logic on the backseat. He continued, "Does it have a ton of logic? Maybe not. But is it pure fun thrills? Abso-freaking-lutely. I think this is the best dinosaur movie in a few decades. Definitely the most fun. It's insane." Anne Hathaway fighting dinosaurs over rationality in a film? Yes, I'm gonna take that any day. I'm so jealous of these lucky people who get access to these early screenings. Anyway, another Reddit user, Pisara.me, revealed that though the official reviews cannot be revealed till Wednesday, the quick reactions more or less have the consensus that End of Oak Street is a funny, family-friendly sci-fi popcorn flick. Okay, we get it. We should be going into the theater to experience a batshit crazy adventure filled with dinosaurs, which probably won't make a lot of science professors happy, but you know what? For people like me who barely remember what science class used to be, this movie might just be a hell of a ride. We also have some experienced creators take on the movie, and like director Edgar Wright, known for films like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Shaun of the Dead, stated on Instagram, "Thoroughly enjoyed David Robert Mitchell's The End of Oak Street. His first film on the big screen in 8 years. It's such a fun ride, and while a very different movie from It Follows, has the similar obsession with terror lurking in the suburbs. The simple yet totally out there premise gave me the great vibe of EC Comics and The Twilight Zone. And if you're planning to see it, stop watching any more trailers. There are some great moments that, in the spirit of early Amblin movies, push that PG-13 rating as hard as it will go. I had a blast with it, and I hope you do too. Go see it on a monster-sized screen. Famously, you can only use the F word once in a PG-13, and the usage here is an especially good one." Now, I'm super intrigued to see how David Robert Mitchell has actually used the word. I'm sure the makers wanted to secure a PG-13 rating to increase their target audience and get a better box office return, but another user on X, who goes by Coffee2, stated how Mitchell pushed the rating limit. The post went as, "The End of Oak Street is an absolute home run. Once the dino stuff gets going, it's pure adrenaline. Pushes the PG-13 rating to the absolute limit. Tight as a knot while still leaving room for legit pathos and humor. My favorite blockbuster of the year." However, the fact that End of Oak Street is a fun watch does not translate to it being a silly movie without any depth. The End of Oak Street is a thrilling, Amblin-ish adventure isn't surprising, yet the layers of melancholy and pain that David Robert Mitchell brings to it in between its abundance of thrills and heart is. Its idiosyncrasies are as unforgettable as its delightfully nasty dinos. Screen Rant's journalist Tatiana Hollander has also shared her thoughts on X, and her post too echoes the idea that The End of Oak Street is not completely lacking a story. To quote Hollander, "The End of Oak Street was actually awesome. Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor make for a compelling, complicated relationship dynamic. The dinosaurs were equal parts terrifying and hilarious, and Starbuck the dog is my new favorite film character." See, multiple filmmakers have tried tapping into Steven Spielberg's energy of creating family-friendly movies under the Amblin Entertainment banner over the years, but not all of them have hit a home run. In fact, producer of End of Oak Street J.J. Abrams himself tried to give a huge homage to the 70s and 80s Amblin movies with his film Super 8 in 2011, and it passed with flying colors. It's understandable why The End of Oak Street is getting such positive reviews about the family dynamics, the thrill, and most importantly, the dinosaur designs. The interviewer, Law Sharma of comicbook.com posted, "End of Oak Street is bonkers. It's not the movie I expected it to be. It was better. The family plays very well together, and the spectacle and dinosaur set pieces are so much fun and outright scary. Anne Hathaway can do anything. Starbuck? That's a very good boy." He further added, "It's like David Robert Mitchell does Amblin. He's so good at building that slow burn suspense, and I love how he uses the furry and feathered dinosaurs in that way. You'll be thinking about that ending afterward." Coming to the slow burn nature of the film, we have other reviews telling us that The End of Oak Street does not get into business right away. Mitchell takes his sweet time building up the tension, and when the horror finally starts, it's absolutely worth the wait. Ex-user @RedheadFilm, who has been involved with the camera work in the film, posted, "The End of Oak Street takes a minute to get going, but once it does, it's a ton of fun. The women in the film act circles around the men. Annie's giving it 130%. Maisie Stella has some great scene work. Split diopter shots out the wazoo." I guess it's time we declare that Anne Hathaway is the goddess of the silver screen. The filmmaker told Entertainment Weekly, "It was phenomenal. Seeing her perform in that way, it was something that I hadn't seen her do, and it was really exciting. I can't wait for audiences to see her doing this kind of role. The whole range in terms of strength, fear, pain, and all of that. It's believable. It's real." The End of Oak Street getting good reviews is reassuring because Warner Brothers had recently messed up pretty badly in their attempt to promote the movie, and many people decided not to watch it. Basically, they teamed up with Dog Park, a generative AI-centered dog podcast, where there were 3 AI-generated dogs, namely Frenchie, a French bulldog, Goldie, a golden retriever, and an AI version of Starbuck, the film's real-life dog. People started getting angry in no time, with some calling it a cheap trick, while another said, "You've turned a guaranteed ticket sale into someone who just doesn't even want to support any films you put out. Ever." Well done, I guess. Was it worth it? And I agree it was a bad decision and a poor show of judgment for film promotion. However, with the early reactions being this promising, maybe people will forget this entire fiasco and give The End of Oak Street a chance. Fingers crossed, because I really hope Anne gets the credit she deserves and her brilliance doesn't get overshadowed by such embarrassing decisions taken by studio executives. The official logline for the movie reads as, "After a mysterious cosmic event rips Oak Street from suburbia and transports their neighborhood to someplace unknown, the Platt family soon discovers that their very survival depends on them sticking together as they navigate their now unrecognizable surroundings." And according to a Deadline article, the hope is that August has another tentpole in Bad Robot's Anne Hathaway Ewan McGregor dinosaur movie, The End of Oak Street, which right now is looking like a $30 million start when it opens on August 14th. That seems like a pretty decent opening for this movie, but the real fate of The End of Oak Street is in the audience's hands. This movie is extremely important for David Robert Mitchell, who's returning after a long hiatus ever since his black comedy thriller Under the Silver Lake of 2018 failed to impress audiences. Some feel the movie is just misunderstood and appreciate Mitchell's genius for making a film like that, while others simply cannot find any meaning in it. However, the filmmaker has high hopes for The End of Oak Street and said in an interview with Peter Gray of the AUReview.com, "I was a kid in the 80s and it was probably a little bit of personal expression and a bit of memory. The story isn't autobiographical, of course, but there are elements of memory within the family and things that did inspire the story. I think that's an important part of it." Alright guys, that's all we have for today. As much as I'm excited for the official reviews to drop, I feel like they might be a little mixed, with the USP of the film being that it's a hardcore entertainer. Do let us know what you're expecting from Mitchell's big return, and whether the Odyssey star will manage to turn the box office results in the film's favor. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie updates. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!